This is a book called Boundaries. This book was on my dad's shelf when I was a kid, and he spoke really positively about it. And is often the case when you're a teenager and your dad speaks to you. I don't remember what he said. My wife Katie bought it as an audiobook recently. She listened to it and she spoke well of it, so I decided to have a listen as well. And the first chapter tells a day in the life of a woman who's struggling in life. She says yes to every request made of her because that's the Christian thing to do, isn't it? In her life, she's mistreated, she's taken for granted. She works hard, but no one stops to appreciate her and everything she does. She's exhausted. What can she do to help? The authors of this book, they're Cloud and Townsend, they use the extended metaphor of boundaries. In the physical world, we have boundaries, we have fences. They're easy to see. Fences, maybe a sign or a hedge, they're all physical boundaries. They give the same message. This is where a certain property begins. This is public property, this is private property. Social, spiritual and emotional boundaries are not so obvious or easy to see. They're real, but you can't always see them. You can, the way you're like a fence or a rope. And imagine if someone said to you, you need to guard this property. You'll be held responsible for what happens to this property, but you're never told where the boundaries of the property are. That would be a very difficult job to do. And in this book, they're trying to teach and educate people biblical principles, trying to get people to see what God says, where our boundaries should be. And boundaries, they're meant to keep bad things out and the good things in. We also need to let good things in from others, and we need to let the bad things inside us out. That's why we need a good working gate on any fence. That's the metaphor they use, and the rest of the book's trying to explain how to put that into practice in life, whether it's raising children, overbearing parents, marriage, work, friends, or yourself. They're trying to explain different aspects of this principle. It's a very practical book. And commonly they say that one issue that people have is that they tend to allow bad things into their lives or their relationships, but then they often don't let the good things in, and it should be the other way around. Here's an extended quote from the book. It says, "A boundary is a property line. It defines where you begin and end. We need such a line. You do not exist in a vacuum. You exist in relation to God and others. Your boundaries define you in relation to others. Boundaries need to be made visible to others and communicated to them in relationship. We have many boundary problems because of relational fears. We're beset by fears of guilt, of not being liked, loss of love, loss of connection, loss of approval, receiving anger, and so on. And these are all failures of love. And God's plan is that we learn how to love. Because of these fears, sometimes we have secret boundaries. We withdraw passively and quietly instead of communicating an honest no to someone we love. We secretly resent instead of telling someone that we're angry about how they've hurt us. Often we'll privately endure the pain of someone's irresponsibility instead of telling them how their behaviour affects us and other loved ones. Information that would be helpful to their soul. In this book, they always back up their arguments with reference to the Bible. On a few occasions, I felt they had to stretch the meaning of a biblical passage a bit to fit the point they were making. Right near the end, they have a really good chapter on technology. If you're a parent with school-aged kids, I think the book's worth getting just for that chapter alone. In reading the book, during the reading the book, I thought, this book would be really good for that person over there, so-and-so. But then, honestly, it's been pretty good for me. I often don't communicate with people when I'm afraid. I say yes to people when I really mean no. I don't have clear boundaries. And this was the strongest the chapter on devices and technology. My phone controls me, not the other way around. So it's an excellent book for me. I think it'll be a great book for you as well. Thanks.